Physics describes reality through two entirely different sets of rules. One is smooth and continuous. The other suddenly shatters into isolated, unpredictable pieces. We understand the continuous framework through classical mechanics and relativity. Electromagnetic fields, waves, and the fabric of space-time itself operate without breaks or sudden leaps. They flow. But zoom into the subatomic scale, and we hit a strictly discrete, quantized reality. Electrons don't slide smoothly between orbital levels. They teleport, vanishing from one orbit and instantly appearing in another, without crossing the space in between. A single physical universe cannot logically operate under two mutually exclusive rulebooks. The pieces describe the same space, yet the mechanics contradict each other. For decades, science has relied on the term wave-particle duality. However, labeling an observation is not the same as explaining the mechanism that creates it. A unified theory requires a geometry where continuous, smooth motion mathematically forces a discrete, sudden step to occur. Solving this requires us to look past the search for new particles and investigate the underlying architecture of space itself. To unite these two modes, we need a surface where rotation on one axis inherently shifts the system's position on a second axis. This requires a geometry defined by two radii of different scales, one local and one major. This describes the torus. The first dimension is the minor radius, representing the thickness of the toroidal tube and governed by pi. This local curve maps to continuous phase dynamics, representing the smooth, repeating cycle of a wave function. The second dimension is the major radius, governed by the golden ratio, phi. This measures distance from the center point out to the core. Moving along this axis represents a discrete transition, a jump from one structural level to the next. Because any trajectory on a torus travels along both axes, waves and jumps are structurally locked together by the geometry. Reality adopts this specific shape simply to endure. Without a stable underlying structure, all systems would eventually collapse under universal entropy. The Kolmogorov-Arnold-Moser, or KM theorem, dictates how complex systems maintain stability. The theorem proves that tori with rational frequency ratios, clean fractions, shatter under stress. Tori with irrational ratios endure. The golden ratio, phi, is the absolute most irrational number. A torus proportion to phi is therefore maximally immune to resonance destruction. We see this in magnetic plasma confinement. Tokamaks rely on irrational rotation numbers to keep the plasma from collapsing. These laws are the strict mathematical requirements necessary to exist within a chaotic void. A coupling mechanism is required for the smooth rotation of the minor radius to interact with the major radius. This interaction is driven by a geometric mismatch. If an internal rotation cycles through three fundamental components, it should follow a path of exactly 3 units, but rotation is governed by pi, roughly 3.14. Each revolution misses its starting point by a remainder of pi minus 3. Because the loop never perfectly closes, the particle drifts laterally with each rotation, creating a dense spiral. These minute slips accumulate until the total drift triggers a transition, forcing the system to snap on to the next available level. In this model, the photon is a gap quantum. It is the physical ejection of energy caused by this toroidal slip. Quantum leaps are the mechanical exhaust generated when continuous rotation fails to perfectly close. This architecture operates at every scale. The observer-dependent theory of everything models reality as an infinite hierarchy of these nested structures. Each dimensional level nests inside the next, scaling upward by a factor of phi to ensure structural stability. A quark nests inside an atom inside a biological cell, and cells within an organism, repeating the pattern up to the scale of the universe. Biological evolution and subatomic physics utilize the exact same geometric engine. Viewing these nested structures from the side creates the visual illusion of a continuous, flowing spiral. Shifting the perspective to a top-down view creates the visual illusion of strictly discrete, isolated levels. We see this sliding in the cosmos. Mercury's unclosed orbital precession is a macroscopic record of this geometric slip. Planetary bodies avoid exact rational resonances to survive, following the same stability logic found in subatomic plasma. The gaps and stutters observed in physics are the mechanical generators for the flow of time. They are the engine of reality's evolution.